And we're going to jump straight into it right here. Came in with the Yeti bowler attack here. And usually tend to start with a Grand Warden walk, and that is exactly what he does up top at 12 o'clock. Wants to clear all of the trash buildings, sends in that blimp over at 9 to help take down that single target Inferno. Does use a rage spell. I love using rage spells with the Yeti blimp when you go into an enemy hero compartment, so that raged up Yetis can take that hero down and take the rest of the defenses as well. I usually do in the enemy hero or the Eagle artillery is typically what I do, and he cleared that whole bottom section beautifully. Now the King's gonna help make his way over towards the town hall, and there is the jump. And you see the jumps being used on the outside of the base. Sometimes instead of a jump, if you could use some super wall breakers, maybe he didn't have the super wall breakers in this week here. So he ends up going with the jump on the outside and quad quake into the core so the Yetis and bowlers can push their way all the way through. One thing I did notice he didn't take in his attack, which can be very risky, is he didn't have any balloons to follow in. And look at that, Seeking Air Mine comes through, but the Grand Warden ability protected the healers as he's pushed his way through. Out came 2 ice golems right there and some archers. Does have a poison to help take those down, but here he goes, move his way through, and that RC coming in the back end, but it's a multi-target Inferno, so you don't have to worry too much about it. A lot of people are running those single target Infernos nowadays because you have that third hero, that RC. She can absolutely shred through multis, no problem, so you really want to try to take her down. And look, she continues around through the space, still has her ability right here, and Queen ability. Sometimes you're just hoping that these Yetis, the healers, stay alive, they transfer off, and that's exactly what happened in this raid. Had just enough. The RC got so much belly on the outside, which ended up leading to the 3-star here. It was very close in the end.
So notice we only have 4 healers in this composition, and this is the we have a bunch of bowlers, we have the Yeti, and we're going to get a really nice walk from that Warden in the beginning of this attack. It's all coming back to me now as I watch it for the second time, and look at this Warden's health, how close he was to going down. But you know, you don't want to have to pop the ability, you don't want to have to use the rage spell, and Devin was being very patient and a little bit risky at the same time as you watch that Grand Warden's health just get really close. But as soon as that cannon goes down, the Warden is going to be healed right back up. The super wall breaker, it looks like it was just a regular wall breaker. He's got the sneaky goblins he's utilizing. It's nice to see one of those super troops being used. Then we have the Grand Warden meeting back up with these troops, getting right into that compartment with the single target Inferno Tower. Sweepers are going to push those healers back a little bit, but we have all the troops going into this section of the base, right into that jump spell, which is beautiful. The pathing went just perfectly. Now with the Ice Golem coming out of the defensive clan castle, you have to worry about being slowed down a little bit, but it looks like it's not going to be too detrimental. Look at that battle blimp getting stalled along the way as well. But the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome ability, keeping everything alive and invincible while they were frozen. Now we have the blimp going down on the town hall, and it looks like it's going to be going down with what looks to me like a Yeti bomb. Yep, that looks about right. So the town hall secured, and at this point, this is when you were kind of curious, saying, is this going to be the end of the attack? We don't know if there's a lot left. And Carbon said, look at those 5 bat spells. And when you look at the rest of the base, all we have is the scatter shot and that wizard tower, which are right next to one another. They're being distracted by that Yeti, and they're being frozen. The bats are going to get massive value as they path from south all the way over to the east, not being light-handed with those freeze spells either, making sure that the splash damage is shut down. Now, the small number of troops that we saw left over in the attack look a lot stronger when you have the bats coming through, picking away defenses along the way. And the Inferno Tower with the freeze, and there's no splash left, although the bats are going to start getting picked away by the defenses left. We now have the heroes, we have the healers, and we have those Yeti to help clean up the rest of the things in this base. And part of the reason why this was so clutch was being able to get that blimp on top of the town hall, securing the 2-star, just setting the funnel beautifully for that bat wave along the back end of the attack. And this was clearly the highlight star attack from this war, although a few others were very close, just down to a few seconds worth of time. But this one stood out to me. And I mean, if you're looking at how to use bats properly and how to really clutch some attacks with bats, this attack strategy, this attack right here is a textbook example of how to get value out of those spells.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at the 3 golems. Unbelievable. For anyone that's just joining us right now, you take a look and you're looking at your screen like, wait, am I seeing this correct? He's using 3 golems in this attack with 7 witches. And take note, no healers in this raid. He's just looking to overwhelm this, set the funnel, and he's just going to just send everything straight into the town hall.
Yeah, and this, like you said, this is an attack strategy you just don't see happening at Town Hall 13. Maybe after everyone watching this, we may start seeing Bo Witch come back at Town Hall 13. But it was so hard to see what was going on in this attack because of the amount of skeletons and spells being dropped. So I'm happy we're taking another look at it now. And the jump spell was just placed perfectly, allowing all of this kill squad to get into those small compartments, into the town hall, and into that single target inferno. And then the quad quake just completely opening up the rest of the base. The troops can path directly to the other side of the base through that open wall compartment.
Yeah, the queen steps up, still has the queen and king ability, and I believe he actually ended up swagging and not using both of those hero abilities there. The RC cleared the whole top side as she ran around, and it just overwhelmed it. I mean, it's just one of those attacks. It was perfectly for the base. The skellies just distracted the singles, and he was just able to overwhelm. He did end up losing the Yetis and the bowlers, but to be honest, does it matter if you end up actually getting the triple? Not really. The Grand Warden, the queen, the Royal Champion, all the heroes still are standing in this attack here.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to have, with any strategy, to have your hero's abilities still intact towards the end. I mean, it's something that you just don't see that often. But I think it was just, like you said, the right base for the right combination, and the spam of those skeletons just overwhelming the Inferno towers just allowed for this attack to just plow through the base one tier at a time.
But we're jumping straight into this replay right here of coming in with the Yeti smash with the bowlers here. And let's take a look at the base here. I did remember there was a tornado trap when we look at later in the raid that was over towards 3 o'clock. And we'll notice that is over on the outside because he was probably planning for a blimp entry there, and that is exactly not what happened here. So there was no tornado trap inside the core of this base, and he's using some of these Yetis to help set the funnel on the top side, and it's just going to be pretty simple. Send the Yetis there, and then send all the troops right down into the core, into the town hall. Looks like we got the king, the king of the Yetis right into here, and then there is the siege barracks. So it's not going to be using the blimp, and then you will see that come later in the raid, which will be activating the tornado trap, which you'll see down there. And then here goes the Yetis, the warden, the balloons, and testing for those seeking air mines. And some of these bowlers are making their way over to the archer tower here on the right side, but there's the quad quake. We're looking at what it opens up is the town hall, the eagle. The queen can then reach over the wall and grab the scatter, the expos, literally everything of value. And then there is the jump to connect that back inside there. But the biggest thing that you have to take note is the Royal Champion does get locked up on the Lava Hound pups for quite a little bit there, but she was still able to move around with the healers. And it was just one of those attacks where you're just kind of overwhelming the core here. And these attacks can turn into the 3 stars if you could get the healer transfer off sometimes onto those Yetis, moving your way through. And then the queen kind of just used the jump with her ability, and the Royal Champion, as long as you keep her alive on the outside as she moves through, you can get the base down with the triple, and that's exactly what Kojak did here. Queen burns her ability. The biggest threat remaining is that single, but it goes down, which leads to the triple here. So very nice job getting at least the save 2, which turns into the triple.
Really solid play there from start to finish. That was just an awesome play by Kojak, as we can just wrap this one up. The rest is history. These last 15% in the books, keeping that Royal Champion alive. You absolutely nailed it, Carbon. That was the difference maker here, and really showed just these small interactions, keeping those healers alive, keeping those heroes alive. Healers and heroes do a big difference to secure those triples off.
Yeah, we're looking at another one of these strategies. It's a really heavy kill squad attack. It's one of those Yeti smash attacks, but it has the back end bats. And one of the most exciting things, like I said about this, was how excited Carbon was about it, since Nick is an almost always air attacker. So he was a little curious as to why this attack was going on the way it was. And was it the base design? Was it just the base was screaming for this? We don't know. But he's starting out with that Grand Warden, not even needing any healers to start out, getting some good value, taking down a bunch of the structures down the southern side of the base, and then dropping in the Yeti to tank for the siege barracks. Remember, Carbon told us earlier on today that if you protect the siege barrack, it won't be targeted and it will last longer, netting you more troops. Now, that funnel's been set pretty quick and easy, to be honest with you, and then rushing into the base, we have, with that rage spell, the entire kill squad. The Yeti, the healers, the bowlers, and the heroes going on in, diving straight into the clan castle, wasting no time. The scatter shots are both right here in range. The first one goes down, and when you look at this base, you'll notice that there are only 2 splash damage wizard towers up top and 1 multi-target inferno, which is probably what told Nick or his team that this is very vulnerable to bats on the back end. We have the kill squad. They didn't even continue through the core of the base. They decided to run themselves around, but because of the plan moving forward for the back end, which you're seeing happening up top, it was okay that the troops did not go through the core. Freezing the multi-target Inferno Tower, it's going to be frozen over again and again. That is the one defense that Nick had to worry about, and he made sure that it went down by freezing it over and over again. Then the Eagle Artillery, which is going to be the defense that you would have had to worry about for the rest of the attack. And at this point in time, the bats can cruise themselves around this base, taking out only 2 final defenses, which are the mortar and that single target Inferno Tower. The rest of this base is cleanup, a kill squad attack with back end bats. It's not something you see all the time. It's not one of the most commonly used attack strategies, but as you can see against the right base, it gives you the potential to pull in 3 stars, even if this is not your typical attack strategy.